When a client comes to me with a problem, the very first thing I'm always going to say to them is show me your data. Because your health goals fail when you make decisions based on feelings and not facts. Let me say that again. Your health goals fail when your decisions are based on feelings and not facts. It's very easy to get caught up in our emotions. But if you're not tracking, you're guessing. If you're guessing, you're being driven by your emotions, by your feelings. Data removes those feelings. It allows you to think with clarity, with rationale, with logic. And that's very important, particularly as you get further down the road of your fat loss journey. At the beginning, you can basically do anything and you'll see a positive result. You can eat a little bit better, you can stop drinking, you can work out once, you can go for a walk, and you're going to feel measurably better. Once you've built the basic habits and it's just become part of your routine, it's very hard to start seeing progress visibly. It's very hard to start seeing, and this is why we call it the messy middle. And this is the power of data. When you're in week 5 and you're comparing it to week 4, the difference might be 1 or 2% in your numbers. Calories, protein, steps, workouts, progressive overload, whatever it might be. Your sleep might be consistent. And because nothing's changed, your wiring sees that as regression. It sees it as going backwards. Nothing changed. I didn't do anything new. It doesn't feel like I've made any progress. The beauty of the data is that it keeps you on the straight and narrow. It keeps you going in the right direction. Because when you don't have the data, you panic when the scales go up. You switch the plan. You convince yourself that you need to do a specific diet, or you're not getting progress because you're not doing a specific workout split. You panic, you blame yourself, and then you quit. But when you do have the data, you're able to look at it, make small tweaks, stay consistent, and that is how you win. Guys, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you don't have the data, you will lose. This is a game. Think of it like a video game. I saw a fantastic analogy just today. Do you guys remember Mario Kart on the N64? Fantastic game, played it in my childhood. And there was this thing where you could do ghost mode. Can't remember the exact name of it, but I'm pretty sure it was ghost mode. And you would do a lap of a track, and then that first lap would become your ghost. And then the idea was that you had to beat your ghost. You had to get better than your previous version. That's exactly how I want you to see life. What that ghost is data, right? So all you're doing is trying to beat last week's data. Not beat it by a mile, but just beat it, or at least match it. It gets to a point where you can't really beat your calorie deficit, you just stay consistent with it. Once your sleep score is in the 90s, it's just about staying consistent with it. Once your steps are at 70, 80,000, it's just about staying consistent with it. But it takes effort to get there. So the first phase is getting to the sort of point you want to be at. And then the most important bit, how you push through the messy middle, how you actually win this game, because that is exactly what it is. It's a game, is by staying consistent. It's not about adding new things. It's not about changing things. One of the things that I have to do, one of the most important parts of my job once I've been working with a client for 2 to 3 months, is more often than not rein them in. Because at that point, they get a little bit cocky. They get a little bit ahead of themselves. They feel like they've kind of completed the game, when really they've just gone from beginner to intermediate mode. I have to show them the next room where there's bigger monsters who are harder to beat. So that's the most important thing, guys. It's tracking the data so that you can stay in the game. So what I'm going to do now is run you through the most important metrics to make sure that you are tracking them. So, number 1, most important and most obvious is your food, your calories and your macros. Now, I know a lot of you guys are already doing this, but I just want to reinforce it for those who aren't, and just to give you a little bit of a peace of mind, I suppose, that you're doing the right thing. The first thing to say about tracking is that this isn't forever. Because once you've been doing it for 4 to 8 weeks, and I give that sort of birth because everyone's a little bit different, you've built the rhythm and routine. You're in the habit of healthy eating, you feel good for it, you don't want to go backwards, and you know just by eyeballing food and having built that database what works for you and what doesn't. Now, yes, of course, you're going to have beers here and there, you're going to have pizzas, you're going to have late nights, you're going to have bad days. That's fine. Again, it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about building the lifestyle that you want to create, the version of yourself that you want to live, right? So tracking isn't forever, and it's not about constantly lowering it and lowering it and lowering it. One of the things I see sometimes, I get emails quite a lot from guys who are like, I've lost 5 kg, do I need to be lowering my calories? Not really. The measurable way to know if you need to change your calories is if you've massively increased your activity level, or if you've lost like 30 pounds, so like 15 kg plus. And even then, you're only going to change your calories by like 100, 150. So it takes you to lose a significant amount of weight before you need to worry about changing your calories. So don't get obsessed and change them every single week. Consistency, remember what we said the other day, your brain loves predictability, guys. So give it that. Once you've built up your roster of meals, which we talked about on day 2, you're good. You don't necessarily need to track. You can use it as a tool to go back to when you feel like you've fallen off. So many of my clients have done this. They've tracked religiously for 8 to 12 weeks, gotten amazing results, and then gone, you know what? I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the tracking because it can start to damage your mental health a little bit. It can. Some people, they do it for the rest of their lives. That's fine. We're all a little bit different. There's no right or wrong here. But I would say one right is you need to do it for at least 4 weeks, 28 days, 1 month, whatever you want to say. You need to get good at it. Because within 1 month, generally speaking, you're going to come across all the different scenarios. You're going to eat out. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to be stressed. You might get sick. All these little things. You're going to go through a few weekend cycles. Well, these are all important milestones. It's like when you first start a relationship. Every experience is novel. The first time you meet each other's friends, the first time you meet each other's parents, the first time you get drunk together, the first time you go out in public together. These are all milestones. They're all little tests. And it's the same with your food. So you need to make sure that you can pass each of those tests with the data, not with your feelings, because your feelings will mislead you. Logic and rationale, guys. It's amazing, right? Us guys, we are wired to be more logical and rational than women. Women are more emotional creatures. But yet when it comes to success and when it comes to our food, we completely lose our minds. It's wild, right? So that is number 1. Once the awareness is there, like I say, that better decision making, it's going to happen automatically. You don't need to stress too much about it. And the other thing to say is, when you first start tracking your food, so in this week, if this is your first time tracking, don't change too much. Just treat the first week as a little bit of a food audit. Imagine you're a car and we're plugging you into the diagnostics machine. We need to see what the hell's been going on, right? So I don't want you to suddenly rip up what the plan you've been doing. Even if it's been absolutely terrible, I kind of want you to see how bad it's been. Because that is pain, that is discomfort. It will shock your brain and go, oh, I don't want to be that guy. I can't believe it. I was eating 4,000 calories. What the hell? I don't want that. So we want to cut that out, and then we don't want to change too much. And then as we move forward, then you can start to make small changes. Okay, guys? I just pull up the YouTube here because I've lost it. There we go. Cool. Next up, we have our weight. Okay. So when it comes to weight, I encourage you to weigh yourself every single morning. Just to be very clear, you want to weigh yourself in the morning, first thing, and you want to do it consistently, like on the same floor. Keep all the variables as consistent as possible, okay? You don't want to do it in the evenings. You don't need to do it multiple times in the day, but I would encourage you to do it every single morning. What this does is it removes the fear of the scales, which is a real thing, but we need to get over that, and the best way to do it is through exposure therapy. And what exposure therapy also shows you is just how much your weight fluctuates. So think about it again. Remember we talked about trend lines. We want your weight to trend down, right? But the reality is if we zoom right in to a week's period, for example, it's going to do that. So it's not going to see like you're making much progress. But if I then zoom out and look at it from a month, it's probably going to go like that. I want you to see those fluctuations, by the way, though. That's the important thing. I want you to see that. Because if you hop on a scale, let's say you're weighing yourself once a week or twice a week, you may get on the scales on that one day or on those 2 days, and it just happens to be a bad day. It could be that you ate a later meal, or it was higher in sodium or higher in carbs, or maybe you haven't been for a poo, maybe you haven't been for a wee. It doesn't matter. There's so many contributing factors. There's over 20, in fact, that can influence the amount of water weight that you're holding onto. So I want you to weigh yourself every single day so you can see those fluctuations. Expose yourself and get over the fear of the scales, guys. Okay? It's a piece of metal on the floor. It can't hurt you. And just remember one more thing as well. Your weight is quite literally your gravitational pull to this planet. If you were on the moon, you would weigh 17% of what you do on Earth. That's all it is. It's relative to gravity. If gravity changes tomorrow, which hopefully it doesn't because that would cause some issues, your weight and my weight and everything you see, the weight of it is going to change. So don't get too hung up on your weight. It is one metric. It is not the only metric. Okay? So that's the second one. Number 3, another one we've talked about before, is our workouts. Just like our food, we need to take the emotion out of the equation. Just like our food, as we get further down the road, the marginal gains get smaller and smaller and smaller. Between week 5 and 6, you might only lift an extra 5 pounds on 3 exercises. That is still progress. And trust me, I've been doing this, I've been lifting weights 19 years now. The marginal gains are so invisible that you cannot ever see them, to the point where this even affected me last month. I use the same app that I use with all my clients. I'm on it as well. I zoomed out, I looked at my 3 months and I'd gotten like 25% stronger. If you'd have put a gun to my head and said, guess how much stronger you've gotten over the last 3 months, I would have maybe guessed like 5%. It was 25%, and that's me 19 years in. I've seen guys in 3 months, no word of a lie, hand on the Bible, who've gotten 70% stronger in 3 months. And this is amazing because when we can see your volume going up week on week, that is a stone cold, measurable, objective way of seeing that you have gotten stronger. Your body is forced to adapt and build the muscles back stronger so that you can lift the weight. It's measurable and it's objective. There is no doubt about it. You might look at yourself in the mirror, and you probably do because you're a health-seeking individual who's trying to change 30 times a day. You get obsessed about it. Nothing wrong with that. It's very normal. I've been there. You might constantly be looking for change and can't see it. But I've done this with clients where every week they take progress photos for me. And I will jump on coaching calls with them once a month and I will show them where they were in the day 1 of their program versus day 90 or day 180 or day 365. And even they will be like, what the hell? Like, that's not me. That's crazy. So the workouts that you track are so important, guys. And I think as well, this is actually another important point that I wrote down. What's really powerful about tracking your workouts is there's going to be a lot of days, particularly in the winter, where you're not necessarily motivated to work out. But when you've got the data there to show that it's working for you, that what you're doing is like, it's getting you the results, it gives you that drive, it gives you that push to keep moving forward. Okay? Next up again, another one we've talked about that's super important is your steps. Okay? To be honest with you, most fat loss stalls because of a movement problem. A great example of this actually is a client of mine called Ryan, probably watching now. Ryan messaged me today. He's been super sick the last few weeks and he hasn't been able to get out of the house much. So he messaged me today and he realized that he'd gained 4 or 5 kg. And he asked me whether he should lower his calories to adapt because of his movement had gone down. And my answer was no. This is your sign to get back to moving. Doesn't mean you have to go straight to 10,000 steps and 3 workouts a week and running 10K, but it just means doing a little bit more than you did yesterday. If your baseline right now is 500 steps, easy. Tomorrow it's 1,000, then it's 1,500, then it's 2,000. Again, it's a little bit like the push-up example that I gave you yesterday in the morning routine video. If you can only do 1 push-up today, think about the fact that in 50 days, you will be able to do 50 push-ups in a row if you turn up and do 1 more than you did yesterday. It's exactly the same with the steps. So again, with the steps, try to get your head out of the arbitrary 10K target. Some of you are already there, some of you are blown way past it, and that's absolutely amazing. You are, trust me, you are ahead of the game, you are doing the hard work. But we have to remember that the average number of steps that most men are doing is still less than 5,000. And this is driven by lifestyle changes that we see in the world. So in the 80s, computers got introduced into the offices. In the 90s, it was the internet. In the noughties, it was the smartphone. And now we're all cooked. It's so easy to get everything to come to you. We live in this comfort crisis, and as a result, lifestyle generally across the board for men, for women, even for children, has gotten a lot more sedentary. So you now have to kind of break past the comfort barrier. You have to actually go out of your way to move more. You need to consciously get up and do things, because now you can literally sit at your laptop all day and just work and work and work. You can have food delivered to you. You can swipe for dates on apps. You don't need to do anything. You could literally go from your bedroom to your shower to your fridge to your sofa back to your bed. You don't even need to leave your house. So you consciously have to go, oh, yep, need to go for some steps today. And this is why it's tracking it is so important. And if you wanted one piece of data that is going to correlate the closest between point A and point B, between where you are and where you want to get to, between the weight that you want to lose, it's going to be your steps. It's not going to be your workout. It's not going to be your calories. Because again, Ryan, let's use Ryan as the example here. I don't want Ryan to starve himself on lower calories. Food is our fuel. I want him to get up. I want him to move. I want him to use the fuel that he has got, the anxious energy that has now built up because he's not moved, to get up and go and move. This is another reason I say to people at the end of the day to go for a decompression walk. Let's say you had a long day at work. A lot of people, this is their first or second day back in the office. There's a lot of anxiety there. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of pent up energy. These days, when you finish up your work day, just go for 20 minutes around the block. I promise you, you're going to feel so much better. And more importantly, you're going to sleep better. You're going to break that vicious cycle. And then tomorrow is another day and you build from there. Okay? So steps, super important. Lastly, very underrated, maybe one of the most important ones, is our screen time, guys. Okay? There's a scary stat out there that the average time on social media and news is 2 hours and 42 minutes. Even if it was 2 hours, that is 730 hours per year. Divide that by 24 hours in a day. That is 30 days a year. 30 full days, 1 month. The average person is doom scrolling. So when you tell yourself, when you tell me, when you tell your friends, your family, your partner that you don't have time, you do. You're just more distracted than ever. So there's a couple of things you can do here. You can go hardcore and delete the social media apps. Personally, I don't have TikTok. I have Instagram and I have YouTube. Or you can put timers on all of these apps and make them pretty aggressive. 30 minutes is pretty good because it's enough time for you to, have a little bit of a scroll, but it's also making sure that you don't spend more than 30 minutes. So now instantly, let's say you're the average man, you've just cut your screen time back by 2 hours per day. That's 14 hours per week. That's a lot of screen time. That's a lot of time that you could be doing other things. And then the other option you can do, and this is one I have, is you can take off all your notifications. The only notifications I have on my phone are for bank apps. That's it. I want to know when money is coming in and I want to know when money is going out. There's no email, there's no WhatsApp, there's nothing. It is my choice to check that or not. That's it. So you can pick the layer that you want to go through, but implement one of those and I promise you, your screen time will start to come down. But I want you to monitor this. I want you to, first of all, just like you would your steps, find your baseline. Go and look at that data, feel that pain, feel that discomfort. Be honest with it. Go into all these smartphones, they will tell you what your screen time is of individual apps. I want you to go and look and find what your individual screen time is for each of these apps over the last 7 days. Look at the average and say, wow. Because I guarantee you, most of you, it is way higher than you think it is. Because again, up until now, you're guessing, you're not tracking. You're thinking about it emotionally, not logically. So get the data, find your baseline, and just reduce it 20% per week until it's down to a reasonable level. What's a reasonable level? It's not for me to tell you. That's for you to decide. You're a fully grown adult. You can decide that. For me, if I'm spending more than an hour a day on Instagram, I know I'm doing something wrong. And bear in mind, I'm someone who creates social media content. I don't have TikTok. I have Instagram. I spend 1 hour on it per day, and YouTube, which is obviously my main sort of outlet, I suppose you could call it. So that's what I had for you today, guys. But you have to remember, I really want to drill this into you. The guys who win in the long run are not the ones who are motivated. They're not the ones who are running on willpower. They're not the ones who are guessing their way through this. They are measured and they are tracking. I really cannot emphasize this enough. If you are not tracking, you will fail. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but you will fail. And I don't want you to fail. I want you to summit Winner's Mountain with me. Okay? Awesome. I have to go in a second, guys, because I have a call in 25 minutes. Let's have a quick catch up on what we've been looking at. Data is the money. Yeah, Richard knows, my man. Rich is a great example of this, 100%. Don't BS yourself, otherwise you will have failed before you start. Yeah, listen, I mean, self-honesty is a very valuable trait and a skill. And I think it's something that has potentially been like a little bit lost in society recently, because it's easy to lie to ourselves now. Everyone's very caught up in their own self. You know, when you start putting yourself out there more, when you start like creating content, doing live streams, you realize that everyone forgets, no one cares. And then it makes you think like, oh wow, no one cares about me. This is good, but it also is a little bit bad. So it makes you very self-accountable when you start putting yourself out there. Cold shower done. Yes, love it. Felt great after. You see, that is a 100% hit rate of the people who did it and felt great. So imagine I could tell you there was a habit that you could implement that would get you a 100% guaranteed return on your investment. Imagine I said to you, okay, I've got a stock. It's going to cost you $1 and tomorrow I'm going to give you $2. You would invest 100% of the time. So why aren't you doing this? Pisses me off, guys. I try to avoid situations where I don't track the calories of what I'm eating, like business lunch buffets. So way around that, Russ, and this is getting better. It's not 100%. As a supplementary thing, what you can do is download one of those AI food tracking apps. I'm not a huge fan of them because they're not 100% accurate, but they are pretty good. If you're eating out on a plate, they're useful because you can see all the food on the plate. If you're eating in a bowl, less so because it can't measure density. But I wouldn't move away from your primary tracking app, which I always recommend, MyFitnessPal or MacroFactor. MyFitnessPal is the one most of my clients use. The beauty of it is that they can share their food diary with me. That's the real power of it. So if they need me to, I'm not living in it, obviously, I've got better things to do. But like if they need me to, I can go in there and like kind of see what's up. MacroFactor is a better app. You have to pay for it, but it doesn't enable you to share your food diary with other people, which is I don't know why. There must be something holding them back because it's a great app, clearly a good team that's built it. It's pretty cheap for what you pay for the year. It's worth it. So if you're not working with a coach, I'd probably go that way. But if you are working with me or you want to work with me in the future, I'd encourage you to use MyFitnessPal. Speaking of which, guys, actually, I wanted to make a point. My coaching program's closed at the moment. I'm working with 48 guys. We're on 5 continents now. I'm absolutely buzzing about that. We hit South America. Marias joined us the other day. First South American client. He's in Brazil, which is amazing. But when the doors reopen, I've created a waiting list, okay? So if you guys want to join that, you can click the link in the description. You can see exactly what the coaching program is all about, how it works. You can watch the short video at the top. I think it's 4 minutes long, and you can apply at the bottom. It's a series of short questions. It's going to take you less than a minute, and you'll get the waiting list. On the waiting list, what I will do is send you a document that runs you through exactly how the coaching program works and the packages that are going to be available when I reopen the doors at the end of this month, okay? The waiting list has already got 11 people on it, and it will be a first come, first serve basis, okay? I'll open it up to the first person. If they want it, they have it, the spot's gone. If they don't, move on to the next person. So even if you're not necessarily 100% in, I recommend you go and get yourself on that waiting list now, because I promise you at the end of January, you're gonna wanna join the coaching program, guys. I was walking 25,000 steps daily, injured my left Achilles, now I'm scared of the scales. Yeah, man. Pain and discomfort. I'm going to keep coming back to it. Thanks for the pep talk about fighting through the pain. Yep. Putting off strength training because of issues with arthritis. Yep. 100%. So you have told yourself that that is an issue. Think of it this way, Russ. Is it going to get any better if you don't do it? No. I think as well, like Paul made a good point here, actually. You can get a little bit over the top with the steps. And once I start seeing guys doing more than, let's say 15,000 a day, I feel like they're avoiding something. They're avoiding the hard work. The steps have gotten easy, and that's great. But now you've got to go and find your next hard thing. Discipline is not doing what you perceive to be, or what other people perceive to be difficult. Discipline is doing things that you find hard and doing them even when you don't want to. That is the definition of discipline. So if you find the steps easy, don't walk around thinking you're disciplined, because you're not. Discipline is doing the things that you don't want to do and doing them when you don't want to do them. That is true discipline. And that discipline leads to the growth. okay? And the other thing about doing the hard things is it expands your mindset. It makes you realize that you're capable of doing a heck of a lot more than you thought you were. Ryan, thanks for the advice over the last few days. Got 2 walks in today. Whoosh, love it, my man. That's huge, awesome. First one was 22, second one was 25. Amazing, man, well done. That's fantastic, well done. Brilliant work, man, really proud of you for that. What do you think of the bulletproof coffee? Dumb. Drinking butter. Think about it. Track the calories in the butter. Started in December tracking all food on macro factor. Fantastic. Helped keep me flat on weight over the holiday. Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point. Staying like, over the holidays, the goal, and I said this to all my clients, the goal in December is not to like make ground. It's not to win. It's to maintain. It's to not lose ground, right? If you can come out of December and you've not lost any ground, that's a huge win. January is a month for winning because everyone's playing the game of fat loss, right? Guillermo, good to see you, man. I've followed your advice since June, lost 13 kg in the best shape of your life. There you go, my man. Well done. Well, we'll leave on that.